Hey, hi, hello, welcome to the March coffee chat. I feel like we have accomplished so much just by getting through the longest months of the year. January always feels like it's a whole year in and into itself, and then February is oftentimes one of the worst months of the year, especially like teaching wise. It just tends to not be my favorite. But this month was actually not that bad. I was gonna say knock on wood, but I guess the month is over, so I don't need to knock on any wood. And we'll talk about that in a second, but I can't even believe I'm saying that, first of all. Anyway, let's grab some coffee and let's chit chat. It is actually the very last day of February, the 28th today. So I'm coming to you in almost real time this time. I think I'm gonna make some coffee, and I still have a little bit of that peanut butter cup one left, which is great. And I'm gonna feed the dog so that she'll give us at least like a whole minute of silence. But in our coffee chat today, we're gonna be talking about like my workbook process. We're gonna talk about routines and like different things like that. So it's gonna be a good one. And yeah, but first I wanted to show you, I think last month I showed you my January painting. One of my big things this year is to do one painting, so like not my sketchbook, like a painting every month. So this was my January one. It's like trees in the forest, and it needs to go because we're done with winter. Spring's coming now, like today. But this is the one I finished last night, and I'm very happy with it. I did it like in my sketchbook first, and then I liked it, so I made like a bigger version of it, but I made the background a lot darker in this one than I did on my sketchbook, and I think I like it. It's acrylic, but I did it on watercolor paper because I wanted to be able to frame it. I can never figure out how to frame a canvas without taking it to Michael's and spending $8,000. So that is where we are with that. Let me grab some coffee and grab my notes, and then we shall chit chat. Let's chit chat. Okay, let's do it. So good. So good. Okay, apparently you can buy the peanut butter cup one on Amazon, but you can get a pack of 4 for $30 or a 1 for $14. I don't know that I need 4. That seems excessive. Also, I feel the need to tell you that all of like these things were all stylistic decisions because I'm trying to be looser with my paintings and leave like a little bit of the outline, a little bit of the background. So just in case you thought it was a mistake, it's not. Just like, who wrote that? Charles Ives. All the mistakes are right. In case you're wondering, it was Charles Ives that said that. Cheers to a new month, and especially to spring coming. Whew, like I said, February tends to be really difficult. I think I mentioned that in the last one as well, and kind of like things to do to help you, and those things definitely did help me. I actually had a really good February. It was like productive and fun, specifically because I would say it was productive because I every single day was looking at my yearly and my monthly goals, and I've been really trying to focus a lot more on what I said I was going to get done and get distracted less. I still get distracted. Like, I started a project for my kids at school, and so then I'm like, oh, well, I need to, post this project on TBT. But even actually this morning, I was like, should I work on this project I made for my kids and make it, TBT-ified, or should I work on this workbook to put on Amazon? And I was like, nope. Becca, you said that your most important things this month were to get those workbooks up, and so I worked on the workbook instead. And so just trying to be a little more focused by really aligning myself with the goals and really making sure that I don't quit the goals because I'm paying attention to them every day was really helpful. And then we had a lot of fun stuff going on in February. We went to the ballet Romeo and Juliet, and then the next weekend we saw 2 string quartets, and then what was the next weekend? Was it anything? Let me refer back to the calendar so I don't tell you lies. Oh, so we had Romeo and Juliet. The next weekend we hung out with my husband's family, my in-laws. The next weekend we did 2 days of string quartets. The next weekend, husband went out of town, and my mom and I went to see Swan Lake, which was beautiful ballet. And then we also went to see my in-laws for the it was Andrew's aunt's birthday, so we did that. And so there was like something going on every weekend, and that definitely helped lift the spirits. It was maybe a little bit too much going on. Both of us are really feeling it this weekend, and we're really busy this weekend actually with a lot of more like meeting-y type things and less like exciting kind of things. So we're both kind of just like, okay, there's a lot going on. We're both looking forward to some time to sleep eventually, which will, I don't know, sometime. I have St. Patrick's Day off, so I guess I can sleep on that day. Okay. Anyway, so as far as like my goals, I wanted to look through my like monthly goals. I had 6 things I was working on, and I completed 3 out of 6 for sure. And then one of them I worked on some, and then one is like 3/4 of the way done. So I feel like that's pretty good. It wasn't, 100% obviously, but it is pretty close. I've been finding if I can stick to like 5-ish goals, that's kind of the best spot for me. And I've been trying to alternate with some that are business goals. So there's like projects on there that were like, I wanted to get the Esther book done and things like that. And then there's other things on there that are like, I wanted to get that painting done. And so I try to have both things on there so that way I have a variety and it's not all work all the time, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit. Anyway, hello. Would you like to say hi? Hello. Book-wise in February, I read 4 books. So the first one is, well, not the first one, but the first one I'm going to talk about is this one. Excuse, she just tried to eat my earring. This book called Do Less. It's a non-fiction book by Kate Northrup. Did not enjoy. Like 2 stars. Skipped 2 entire chapters. Skipped quite a bit in the middle. There were a couple of things that I did like about it. There were some interesting ideas as far as like productivity and like how to decide what to work on, and kind of like looking, it talks a lot about like cyclical planning as far as like aligning with your cycle, but not my favorite, mostly because she was very like woo-woo is kind of how I would describe that. And so she talked about like, oh, the planets are aligning and stuff, and I'm like, okay. And just like, I think she and I just didn't get along very well. It might be more useful to somebody else, but I was not a huge fan, so I will not be reading her other book. But I did read it, got a few good insights and interesting things. The other books I read are some that you have probably seen around the internet. 1, 2, 3. First of all, can we just appreciate, because, normally I read 3 books and I read 4, but can we just take a second to appreciate this? Because it's not just that I read 4 books, it's that I read all of that. So these 2 full books I read in February, and then most of this one also. I started it at the end of January. Wow. So if you're not familiar with these books, Fourth Wing is the first one, and it's been really hyped up because Onyx Storm is the newest one that just came out. Wow. I got Fourth Wing for Christmas from my brother, and he was like, I've heard it's a really good book. I don't know. So I thought I'd get it, and I was like, I don't really read fantasy. There's like dragons on the cover. I was like, I don't want to read a dragon book. Holy cow. Holy cow. That's pretty much all I can say about it. There's so much. So it's about a girl named Violet. Violet is a girl who has trained her whole life to be a scribe. She loves knowledge. Her dad was a scribe, but her dad dies. And then her mom, who is the general in the army and the head of the war college, forces her to join the writer's quadrant instead of the scribe quadrant. And Violet is pretty weak physically. She has like a disability where her like joints basically, or her bones will like pop out of socket and like all these different things. So like physically she's small, she's weaker, she has just a lot of like physical issues where you would not think that being a dragon rider is a great idea. The dragon rider quadrant is like cutthroat, where people are just like killing people left and right. People die on challenges, people die during tests. If you make it to even get the chance to have a dragon bond with you, then you're like, it's crazy town, and then even then a lot of people die, so it's real crazy. it was really good. It was not something I would pick up on my own. It was not something I would usually just go for, but it has been really, really, really good. I have not been able to put them down. Obviously, that's why I've read all of them so quickly. So that is what has been going on. I don't want to give anything away. There's a lot of twists and turns. I would say the first book, I pretty much thought that the plot of the whole series was going to be Violet getting through, you know, War College. Obviously there's 3 books, so she does make it. And I figured there'd be romance on the side. The person the romance ended up with was not who I thought it was going to be with. And then in like the last few chapters, suddenly all of these things changed. And there was like a whole other plot line that I didn't even know we were in. And so that was wild. And actually the series is about some other things that are a lot more deep and a lot bigger than just Violet. But you don't know till the very end, except now you know because I told you. But yeah, wow, I was not expecting that. All of the books end on cliffhangers, so do be aware. I would have been really mad if I'd finished the second book and the third one had not been out. So my apologies to all of you. The third book also ends on a big cliffhanger, but I personally felt it was less of a cliffhanger than the other ones. I was less like concerned. I didn't immediately need to like know right now what was going to happen. I was like, okay, I can wait until the next one comes out, which will not be until like next year or the next year. So it's going to be a while. But really good plot lines, really good storylines. And she's a really good author. There's so many things, like I already can't wait to reread them because there's so many little details that are sprinkled throughout. And normally when, you know, so in a typical book, everything in the book is relevant, right? And so if there's something that we need to know later, they'll usually say it. And usually it's like, it doesn't seem like it should be a big deal, but like they're making it a weirdly big deal. And because they're making that a weirdly big deal, then we know that it is going to be a big deal later. For her, she does such a good job of just adding in these little details where you think it's just like, oh, a little personal backstory, a little fun thing. Like, it doesn't seem like a big deal. And then it's like, oh, that was a big deal. And it gives you so much context for what's going on. So even though it's a fictional world, even though there's like all these, you know, it's a fictional place, there's different rules from the normal world because there's magic and there's dragons. It's just so good. It's so good. Don't get attached to any of the characters because people die left and right. There's my warning. Also, severe adult content warning because there's a lot of things I normally would not read, but I was too engrossed to put it down. So do not let your teenagers read these. But for you, wow. I can't wait for the next one. Can't wait. Anyway. All right, so that happened. I'm anxiously awaiting the next one. It's gonna be wild. I seriously, yesterday was like, maybe I should reread them. And then I was like, no, don't reread them because I'm gonna want to reread them before the new one comes out. So I don't need to, that would be a little excessive, right? Right. Anyway, what are we talking about? So all of that. Oh, one of the ways that I have been able to read so much of this, partially because I was looking for more ways to add more reading into my day because I was like, I want to find out what happens. I have been using my spin bike and reading for like 20 or 30 minutes in the afternoons when I get home on my spin bike. I've had my spin bike for a few years. It's not like a fancy one. It's just something I got off Amazon and I have never really loved it. I think I get too bored. I have the Peloton app. I've tried using Peloton with it. I don't love it. But this worked. I've even read nonfiction and I didn't love it, but reading fiction books and even now like the new book that I'm working on, reading fiction books on the spin bike have been like the best. It occupies my mind so I'm not thinking about my legs moving, but it kind of like gets out any of the like craziness from the day. Because I'm seated rather than like walking, it helps if you're like your back or legs hurt. I've never gotten off and been like, ooh, now I feel worse. Like sometimes I go on a walk and I'm like, I feel worse than I did before because like it's just too hard on my joints. So this has been really nice and really great and I have been really enjoying that. So especially on No, what I was talking about. Oh, especially on the days that I don't work out, because I only work out 3 days a week. I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then sometimes on Saturdays if we're not busy. So 3 or 4. But especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I've been really liking having that in the afternoon. It's just been really nice. So I'll still take Nyla on walks. So far, it's been dark and it's been cold and it's been gross, so I haven't been going on a lot of walks, but I will be walking her, but I'll probably just like alternate depending on the days. But I've really been enjoying that, and it's been really nice, and I can't believe I'm saying that. So there's a little tip for you, and also just a suggestion to like try different things, because I would not have thought that would be something I'd be interested in, but after I tried it, I was like, oh, I actually kind of like this. So don't, try different things, especially in your routine. It really just helps me like disconnect from work, which is glorious. So that was the first thing I want to talk about. All right, number 2. Speaking of all of that, I'm looking for more sustainable ways to be productive. Kind of backing off of last year. Last year I really worked on trying to be more focused and more balanced. And so this year kind of trying to continue that. And so I've been trying to find ways to be productive in a sustainable way, especially after reading the book Slow Productivity. And so one thing I found is that adding in things like that have been really helpful in being productive, because after I spend 30 minutes doing that, I feel great. And then I'm totally fine with spending an hour and a half working on my shop in the evening after dinner. And so having things like that and things like painting built into my routine has been really helpful in being long-term productive, because it's almost like it gives you permission to like, all right, now we're not going to be productive. Now we are going to be productive. And then when it's time to be productive, you feel a lot better about doing that. And it's been really, really great. So just think of like how you can come up with fun things that you can add into your life on a regular basis. And that way for me, it's almost like I feel like I'm doing something for myself, versus a lot of what I do, and I'm sure what you do. I, get up and I work on the business, which is helping you or helping teachers. And then I go to work all day helping all the little children. And then I come home and I clean the house and I make dinner, which technically are for me, but I feel like they're really for my husband, honestly, because if he wasn't here, I wouldn't clean the house nearly as much, and I would probably eat yogurt every night. And then I work on my business, and I'm like, and so having that time to myself just really makes a difference. So looking for ways that I can add that in is massive. The other thing I've found is, like I mentioned before, trying to really focus on what I said the most important things are. Like today I was like, all right, I can work on this or I can work on this. And I was like, nope, you said this is important, so this is what we're working on. And trying to reduce the amount of open projects that I have has been really helpful. It's been hard because my brain is just like, and I have so many ideas all the time, but it's been really helpful to be like, to set my intentions at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the year, and then refer back to those. Even for the week, I have, like my top 3 for the week. And so like this week I was looking and I was like, okay, well, I said this was the most important thing, so this is what I'm working on first. And that doesn't mean I don't work on other things. It just means that I'm trying to stay a little more focused and not having quite as many open loops. What my focus has been on my KDP workbooks. So at Christmas, I made this guy, which I love. It sold a few copies. It was like maybe like 8 copies, I feel like, which I thought was pretty good, especially because I posted it really close to Christmas, like way closer than I should have. And so that was my first one. I posted it even though it was really like late, because there was a lot going on in my life, because I was like, you know what, I just want to go ahead and post it anyway, because I just want to, go through the process of doing it. I wanted a test run. I wanted something easy, and I figured I know the story of Christmas like the back of my hand, and I can do that pretty easily. So I made that one. Then this past month, I finished the story of Esther. Actually, that might have been January, technically. This month I'm working on an Easter one. It's almost done. And this one I've only sold one so far, which that's the thing about seasonal resources. They have that like people are searching for them, and also there's a deadline built in versus like there's not a big deadline for the story of Esther. So I knew going in that evergreen was going to be harder to sell, but also that currently no one's buying the Christmas books. So yeah. So that's what I'm going through. I got a lot of questions about them because I've been talking about them because that's what I've been working on, because that was my big focus for January and February. So the two biggest questions that I got are, so I sell them on Amazon, Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP. And it's kind of like TBT. You upload the file, you upload all the stuff like the thumbnails and all cover and that kind of stuff. And then it gets posted on Amazon. Just when someone buys it, instead of a digital download, they print one and send it to that person in the mail. So that's how this works. I don't have to have anything. I have one copy of each of these just for my own sake and for pictures and stuff like that. But that's pretty much all. So that's what that is. I got into it from watching a video in the, what do we call that? The Summer Teacher Seller Summit, I think is what it's called. And I bought the course actually that went into it. And in the course that I took, it doesn't tell you like step by step how to make them, but it's really focused on taking your TPT products and turning them into books that you can use. So if you have, you know, making math workbooks, making writing workbooks, making like those kind of things. And so this, sorry, I have the hiccups now. So that's what I did. And I went through my Bible lessons and I added in like this page is one I already had, and there's different pages in here that were already in other products. So basically it's like arranging and then adding extra stuff to make them into something else. So that's why also I wanted to start with Christmas, because I had a lot of Christmas Bible resources, and then Esther, I had a lot of Esther resources, so I thought that would be the easiest one to include. So her whole course focuses on how to take your TPT resources, figure out what might sell on Amazon, and then figure out how to make that happen. And then it goes a lot into like the back end of your description and your title and your tags, like those kind of things. So I will link her course down below. I am an affiliate for it, so if you purchase it, then I do get a little bit of a kickback, but you pay the same amount. And it's really good if you want to get into that, because it just is really helpful and really step by step. She doesn't talk too much about like making, because she's assuming you already have TPT products that you're going to turn into these things. Now, I've been getting two questions about them that were in the coffee chat suggestions. One is, what is my process? I don't really have a process yet because I just started, but so far it's been looking through my TPT products, finding things that I think will work well, and checking my the software that I purchased that goes through like Amazon keywords and stuff, and then kind of like mapping out on a piece of paper how I want to structure the book, going through with like the meat of this stuff, and then adding in like the fun stuff afterwards. So like the word searches and the crosswords and those kind of things. And then going through and making sure everything's like on the right pages and that kind of stuff, printing them out and actually doing everything to make sure everything works, and then uploading. Now, my process is going to change because as I'm making new lesson packs for TPT for my Bible lessons, I'm making them with the intention of putting them into the books. So as I'm making the lessons I'm already making, I am trying to like go ahead and think through how I'm going to put them in the book. So my process is going to change. Right now, it's been going through and trying to find what's going to work, but that will be a little bit different in the future. So my process, I don't really know, but that's as much as I got. The other questions I got were, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth all the time? Y'all, I don't know. I have 2 stories done and it's only been 3 months. So I sold a couple of the Christmas ones. I think a lot of them were people I know on Facebook, because I put it on my like personal Facebook, which is fine. And so I don't know how many were like strangers. The Story of Esther book, I've only sold 1 so far. And yeah. Now, that being said, just like TBT, the first 2 months I made like $7 on TBT, and then the third month I made like $40, and then I made like $100. So it went up. And then same thing, I was looking at my Etsy stats because last year on Etsy for 2024 for my music stuff, so now we're, switching gears because I have way too much going on. For my music stuff on Etsy, I made $328 for 2024, and that's the same thing I have posted on TBT, but I don't advertise on Etsy at all. I only advertise my TBT stuff, and I only link to my TBT stuff. But so far on Etsy for January and February, I made like $50 each, so I'm already at over $100. So the reason I'm telling you that is because internet takes time. It's a slow process, and so I'm not expecting the books to make me thousands of dollars like today. I would love for them to make me thousands of dollars. That'd be great. But I don't know what is going to happen yet. It's an experiment. So my experiment was I had like a list. I said, these are the ones I want to make. I'm going to make them the first few months of the year, and then I'm not going to work on those. I'm going to work on other things for a while, basically so that I can see how they do. So I have two. I definitely want the Easter one, and then I'm trying to decide if I want to I've been doing lessons about Elijah and Elisha from the Bible, so I'm trying to decide if I want to do those now or if I want to wait. I kind of want to do them now so that I have enough of a variety that I can get like a good test sample, basically, because otherwise my Esther one's the only evergreen, so maybe I will make sure I do that anyway. So I wanted to do a couple so I can test it out and see what happens. And then I'm going to be working on completely other things for, April, May, June, July, August, September. And we'll see what happens towards the end of the year and what I decide to work on for the second 6 months and the last quarter. So, I don't know if it's worth it yet. So far, no, because they're a lot of work, and it's very new, which makes it feel like even more work. But hopefully one day, yes. So that's about all I got for you. I had another question I was going to address from the questions y'all left, but I've been talking for a long time, so I'm gonna let you go. Thanks for hanging out with me. I love our coffee chats, love chit-chatting on whatever it is you're interested in learning about. I'll link the books I read as well as these two down below, and hopefully that Easter one will be out soon. I'm hoping like next week. It was supposed to be out by the end of February, but that's right now before you're even watching this, so we're not gonna get quite there, but